Welcome to Camper Trailer of the Year 2022, sponsored by the power of Red Arc. With its impressive 800 kilo payload, the Alpine 13 promises the comfort, the durability, and the capacity to take you wherever the road may lead you. But let's see what the judges have to say.
Alpine 13, that camper just blew me away for fit and finish. It looks to me like it's set up for a couple. And look, the bed was high off the floor, but once you're on it, there's a huge amount of light and a huge amount of breeze. I reckon it'll appeal really, really well to either a slightly older couple who wants to hit the road and do 4 to 6 weeks at a time, or even potentially a lap. I also think a couple of younger couples, like myself, I'll be honest, I really like that camper and I would probably buy one. Because for me, ease of setup was just fantastic. This particular build, these guys up in Maryborough, you know, they're building every part of this camper and they are really focused on weight, and I think they've done a really good job. It's very well thought out, both in its build and its layout. But yeah, I thought self-sufficiency wise, like if I was to take one away for a few weeks, I think it could handle it. But what do you reckon, Kath?
The Alpine 13, look, it's just remarkably strong and durable for its weight. I mean, we had a 800 kilo payload with that camper, so there's really no excuse for not taking with you what you need. We saw the sorts of features you would expect, like the 96 litre My Coolman fridge. We had water, and that was underslung in Alpine's own 6mm poly tanks. One of the great features I really liked was the fact that that 85 litre grey water tank was actually plumbed into the sink. With that, there is absolutely no excuse for dumping your filthy kitchen water into the soil underneath your camper, into the annex of your neighbour, or more importantly, into the waterways of the national parks where you're staying.
From an off-road ability, it is a 13-footer. It does have an 800 kilo payload. How far do you reckon you'd go with it?
I think it's definitely a big lap kind of thing. Anywhere you'd have a four-wheel drive in high range, you could take this thing. 1,700 kilos, like that's 200 to 300 kilos lighter than most forward fold campers. Anywhere you're confident to take it, it'll go.
The camper itself, behind that 79 series, was faultless, I thought, from a towing point of view. What about its comfort, Dan? Like, do you reckon you could spend a few nights in it?
I feel pretty confident in saying that it is the nicest interior of any camper here, by a long shot. There's a lot more functional. It is the nicest. And like you said, it's just that big, airy, spacious. It felt like I was in a Scandinavian apartment parked on top of a mountain.
Kath, what about the build? Like I mentioned that it's made in Maryborough, so up in Queensland, and that the guys up there build almost every part they can and then bring in bits from Australian manufacturers. But what do you think of it all?
And one thing particular with this is you notice that beautiful big one-piece 3x150 by 150 steel chassis. I mean, that's sourced by Australian steel. Looking underneath, it's got none of the sort of dangly bits that you tend to find, you know, amongst many campers on the market. No, it's quality everywhere, and that's below the waist and above the waist. I mean, we've talked about it having, you know, like a resort-like feel inside. But I've got to say, things like that fold-out kitchen on bearings, that's got to be the smoothest, I think, that I felt. And basically, everything you touched in that camper gave you that feeling of confidence in that quality and build.
And does that all add up to a $107,750 asking price? Like, I'll be honest, that sort of money can buy you a pretty good 22-foot caravan. How can a camper justify that?
Well, the one we looked at actually had $27,990 worth of accessories thrown on. That was the electric roof lift, the airbag suspension, air conditioner, the EnerDrive system, reversing camera, a lot of bells and whistles thrown in.
I would always take that XT air suspension because I absolutely love that suspension. But the other parts of it, that wasn't a big draw for it. Like, its X factor to me was actually its comfort and its feel and its build methodology. Yeah, so I could probably live with taking some of those options out and bring that price back down closer to its 80 grand starting price.
The weight was definitely an X factor, being so light and also having such a large payload.
You know, you're saying 800 kilo payload. That's still only getting you up to 2.5 tonne, which is still a huge camper, a huge payload, and you can still put it behind the Prado and Everest, any of the small utes. You put it behind a Ranger Raptor, which is notorious for its small tow rating, and it'll still do the Alpine fully loaded.
So Dan, what did you think of its ease of use overall?
He pressed a button, the whole thing was all set up in 30 seconds, and then he spent the next 10 minutes clipping poles in, and they're all weird and wonderful, and it gives amazing coverage. But you go with a standard RV style rollout awning, it's going to take it from a 15-minute setup to a 2-minute setup.
One thing that I picked up as being very innovative was the aluminium channel that they put behind the awning, which created a gutter so that when it rained, it drained everything
away from the kitchen, which is super important.
It's funny, all those little features that you get on campers at this high end, and you can't see them on a spec sheet. Those little details that really sort of makes up that difference, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Like that channel and the drawers around the kitchen, how you can still get access to them. And now they've used every nook and every cranny of space to make some form of storage. It's usable. So that's the Alpine 13 at Camper Trailer of the Year, sponsored by the power of Redarc. Now, if you enjoyed that video, there's 10 more down in our channel. And of course, if you liked it, like and subscribe.